Japan's 100-year ramen secret, the bowl that heals the soul. There is a particular kind of restaurant that exists in Japan that has no equivalent anywhere else in the world. It is often small, sometimes only 8 or 10 seats. It is often run by a single person or a family. The menu may contain only 2 or 3 options, and the broth has been simmering, sometimes for days. You sit down. The bowl arrives. And something happens that is difficult to explain to someone who has not experienced it. You feel, immediately, slightly better. Not just physically. Something else. Something older. This is ramen. And its story begins not in Japan, but in China. The noodle soups of China, known broadly as ramen, arrived in Japan sometime in the late 19th or early 20th century. The precise date is debated. What is not debated is what Japan did with them. Japanese culture has a particular genius. The ability to take something from outside and transform it into something entirely, unmistakably Japanese. This process even has a name, shokunin kishitsu, the artisan spirit. The relentless pursuit of mastery in a single craft. The belief that a bowl of soup is worthy of a lifetime of devotion. And so, what began as a simple immigrant food, noodles and broth, sold cheaply from street carts, became something extraordinary. The pivotal moment came after the Second World War. Japan in 1945 was a country in ruins. Cities had been bombed. The rice harvest had failed. Millions of people were hungry. The American occupation brought wheat flour as food aid, and suddenly, cheap wheat noodles were available everywhere. Black market ramen stalls appeared on the streets of every major city, offering hot, filling bowls for almost nothing. Ramen was the food of survival, of resilience, of finding warmth and nourishment in the middle of devastation. And something about that origin story, that deep association with comfort during hardship, embedded itself in the food's cultural meaning. In Japan, ramen is not simply dinner. It is care. It is warmth extended to someone who needs it. The broth is everything. A great ramen broth is not made in an hour, or even a day. The finest tonkatsu broth, the creamy, cloudy pork bone broth of Fukuoka, is simmered at a rolling boil for 12 to 18 hours. The heat breaks down the collagen in the bones into gelatin, which gives the broth its signature rich, almost silky texture. Impurities are skimmed constantly. Fat is managed. The chef does not leave. In some of the oldest ramen shops in Japan, the same master broth, topped up, enriched, but never fully emptied, has been maintained continuously for decades. There is a shop in Kyoto where the broth pot has not been emptied since the 1950s. The original broth, diluted and enriched 1,000 times over, is still technically present in every bowl served today. This is not sentimentality. This is flavor built by time itself. The toppings are chosen with the same care. A chashu pork belly, braised slowly in soy and mirin until it yields at the gentlest pressure. A soft boiled egg, marinated overnight so that the white is seasoned all the way through and the yolk remains just barely liquid, orange and glossy at its center. Sheets of toasted nori, bamboo shoots, green onions sliced with a precision that borders on ceremony. Nothing is accidental. There are now ramen museums in Japan. Ramen has its own Michelin-starred restaurant in Tokyo. Young chefs spend years as apprentices before they are permitted to make a bowl alone. The Japanese government has, at various times, considered nominating ramen as a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. A bowl of soup, elevated to art. But here is what I find most remarkable about ramen. For all its complexity, for all the decades of mastery that can go into a perfect bowl, it remains, fundamentally, accessible. You can sit next to a businessman, a student, a grandmother, a tourist who cannot read the menu, a delivery driver who has been on the road since dawn. You all get the same bowl. You all feel the same warmth. That is a rare thing in the world. A food that carries a lifetime of craft, and yet asks nothing of the person eating it except to be present. In Japan, there is a concept called ma, the meaningful pause. The space between things that gives them their shape. Ramen, in some ways, is that space. A moment of warmth, and stillness in the middle of a busy life. A bowl held in both hands, steam rising. The first sip of broth, deep and complex and ancient. And for a moment, everything else waits.